Päivi Räsänen is a Member of Parliament in Finland and a former Minister of the Interior. She's also a doctor, a mother, a grandmother and a Christian. And because of her Christian faith, in June 2019 she put out a social media post quoting the Bible and challenging the Evangelical Lutheran Church of Finland over its sponsorship of an LGBTQ Pride event in Helsinki. For this, she was placed under investigation, interrogated by police, and eventually charged as a criminal. But it wasn't until March 2022, nearly 3 years later, that she finally had her day in court and was acquitted unanimously. But the Prosecutor General appealed, and Päivi faced a second trial for so-called hate crimes last August. She's been supported throughout this ordeal by our friends over at ADF International. They believe, as we do, that free society requires free speech, and true free speech includes the risk that offence may be taken, including the unique offence that comes from declaring the gospel. We're privileged to enjoy that freedom here in the UK as in Finland, and we must be vigilant in defending it. Well, Päivi has now once again unanimously been found not guilty of hate speech, and I'm delighted to say that she joins me now from the town of Kerava in Finland. Päivi, thank you so much for your time. Another court appearance, another win. How are you feeling?
Yes, thank you for having me here. And I have to say that I feel very good. I feel relieved after this process. This has lasted over 4 years. And I'm very happy for the very clear result of the Court of Appeal. So, but I'm waiting, just now I'm waiting what the prosecutor is going to do, because she has still possibility to appeal to the Supreme Court.
Well, we'll come back onto that a little bit later on, but let me take you back to the beginning and perhaps you could just explain why you thought this was sufficient importance that you wanted to post that Bible verse in the first place. You could have said nothing, you chose not to.
Yes, 4 years ago, the Finnish Evangelical Lutheran Church, which is the main church, state church of Finland, 70% of people belong to it, and it is also my church. Its leadership decided to support the Helsinki Pride event. And it was a very strong disappointment to me. It was a shock because officially we still in our church, we have only the marriage for couples of man and female. And many of my friends then decided to leave the church, and I was also praying what to do. And then I got a very clear vision that now it is not my time to leave the church and let the boat go down, and the people are sleeping there. I thought that now it is my time to speak, because I was worried that if the leadership of the church undermines people's trust on the Bible, what Bible teaches, it is not then only about gender or marriage, but it is also about salvation of the people. If they do not trust on the Bible, then they do not trust on the gospel, what is told there about their salvation. And I took a photo from the Bible, from the Romans 1st chapter, where Apostle Paul teaches about same-sex couples, and asked the leadership of my church in a Twitter update that how does this fit to the foundation of the church, the Bible, that you are supporting something and celebrating something as pride that Bible calls it sin and shame. So this was the reason, and after that there began discussion in our society and inside the church, and some citizen made a criminal complaint about this. But I thought that it is my duty it is my duty to speak about and not to be silent.
But could you have ever imagined it resulting in such a long-running, high-profile criminal case?
I could never imagine. Of course, I thought that it would raise up some discussion in our society, as it did. But I could never imagine this kind of consequences, because I have been in Parliament 28 years. I'm a lawmaker, and I never thought that this would be against our law. In fact, in 2020, I was in Parliament when we accepted unanimously in our Parliament the law about agitation against minorities. And in fact, I had written already 2004 the pamphlet that is also in the charge.
Yes, as man and woman he created them, yeah.
Yes, yes. And I never thought that these writings, these opinions, these views based on the Bible, that they would be criminal and against our law. So I have to say that this process has been very, very, very absurd.
Yes, I wanted to ask you about that because justice has prevailed, which is great, but we have an expression here about how the process is the punishment. So you may be vindicated in the end, but you're put through the mill for a long period of time, in your case, over 4 years. Have you felt that to be true for you, that the process has been a punishment?
Yes, indeed, that has been, because the process has been so long. And for example, in Finnish media, there have been many times this the word hate speech, that I'm suspected about hate speech against some minorities, and there have also been false accusations about what I have spoken. I think that the most difficult side in this whole process was that the prosecutor published 2 years ago the charges, and she claimed that I had said something that I had never said. She claimed that I had said that homosexual people are inferior to other people, or that God has not even created them, or that they are genetically degenerated. These are that kind of statements that I have not said. In fact, they are in contradiction to my conviction. So, and it was so difficult to fight against these false statements in our media, because the media didn't publish my views, even though that I gave press releases. They didn't publish them. It was just the court, the Helsinki district court, that said that they didn't find any that kind of statements in my writings, and they didn't find any hate speech. Also, in the Court of Appeal said so. So I think that this kind of accusations, and especially false accusations, they have been like a punishment in public, and not only to me, but also to other people, also to other Christians, because I think that it has had a silencing effect to our society, to Christians. There have been some young Christians that have written to me that they are afraid to express their faith, but that they are also labeled to be hate speakers. And this has been the problem during these 4 years. So that's why I'm so happy that the results of the courts, they have been so clear, and they have said that I have not even intended to to insult any minority, because I think what I have spoken, it has been about classical Christianity. It is
Yes.
about the Bible, and I think this speech arouses from love, not from hate.
Sure, yeah.
Or hate.
How has it affected your family, Päivi?
I'm so grateful that my family has supported all the time, very steadfastly. My husband and my 5 adult children, they have been praying for me and supporting me. So it has been such a privilege to have this kind of family who say that you have to stay strong. We stay behind you.
Well, I think you've certainly had lots of support from all over the world, I imagine. But do you have any regrets? Is there any point that you felt like giving up?
No, I have to say that I had a very strong feeling that and that this is my calling. This is my calling now to fight for these freedoms, freedom of speech and freedom of faith, and also to defend the teachings of the Bible in this kind of time. Of course, there were some hard moments, some dark moments during this process. But I'm grateful to God that there have been so many who have prayed for me, and I'm sure that God has answered these prayers. I can tell that when I was interrogated by the police 3 times, altogether over 13 hours. Each time, the police asked that he gave me a possibility to regret and apologize what I have written, to take this away. But I said that no, I will stand behind this teaching. I will not apologize what Apostle Paul has stated in the Bible.
Yeah, thank you for taking that stand. But the prosecution has indicated their willingness to take their accusations against you all the way to the Supreme Court. Are you prepared for that?
Yes, it is possible. They have a possibility to apply and try to appeal to the Supreme Court. And I have heard that just during this week, they will make the decision in the office of the Prosecutor General. And I'm ready to continue if it is needed to the Supreme Court, even to the European Court of Human Rights if it is needed. But of course, there would be risk to go to Supreme Court that they would have a different opinion about this case. But if the Supreme Court would give an acquittal, it would be a very strong precedent that would then guide our officials, police and our courts in similar cases in the future, similar possible cases. And I hope that this process would lead to that kind of consequence, that kind of conclusion, result, that no one else would have to go through this kind of process.
Well, let's just pick up on that for my last question then. You mentioned people talking to you about the silencing effect, the chilling effect that the process has had. Now, you're a member of Parliament, so you're a woman in a position of authority, but what encouragement could you give to those people who perhaps know that it's right to speak out, but are fearful of doing so? They've seen what's happened to you. What encouragement would you give them?
Yes, I really want to encourage Christians to use their rights now, because the more we are silent about these topical, painful issues of today, the more narrower becomes the space for this freedom. So it does not work to try to be silent. The space for the freedom, these freedoms, becomes narrower. And I want also to encourage that I have experience during this process that God has been faithful what he has promised in his word. In fact, I have felt this process in many ways as a privilege. I have got many possibilities during this process to give a testimony about the gospel in front of the police and also in court and through media. I have also had possibility to tell that what is the solution to the problem of sin, that Jesus has died for our sins, and there is a way to salvation, there is a way to eternal life. And I think that God has used also this, because I have got so many messages from the people who have told that during this process they have started to read Bible, they have started to pray.
Wonderful.
There have been also gay people who have told that they have found Christ when they have started to read Bible, and so I think that God, we are living in that kind of time where God also uses this kind of difficult processes. So I encourage to stand on what God has promised and on his word, and to be open about your faith, to be open about what Jesus has done.
Well, what a wonderful place to finish. Päivi Räsänen, thank you very much for your stand for the truth, and thank you so much for your time with me today. Thank you.
Thank you so much.